Got breaking news from Pickens County. Thank you for being with us this evening. I'm Terry Brewer.
And I'm Lynn Brooks. WVUA is on top of a developing situation in the community of McShann. That's where the search has just ended for a suspect who's been accused of neglecting more than a dozen animals.
Here's a look at just where that is. We're flying you into Pickens County to the community of McShann near Ethelsville. Now, here's what we know right now. Pickens County Sheriff David Abston tells WVUA 56-year-old Larry J. Prescott is charged with 15 counts of animal cruelty. Earlier today, there was a standoff between Prescott and law enforcement, but officials say Prescott escaped and was later caught. Abston says more than 20 neglected animals were removed from Prescott's home earlier this week. Many of them were dogs. That's some of them you're looking at right now who are in Tuscaloosa being treated by a vet and the Humane Society of West Alabama. WVUA's Daniel Sparkman is at the scene. He joins us live on the phone with the latest. Daniel.
That's right, Terry. There were more than 20 animals here in this house on Oak Circle in McShann. I arrived here on the scene about 3:45 this afternoon, just as deputies located Prescott after a 3.5-hour standoff here in McShann. They located Prescott in the crawl space under his house that he had been living in for the last 3 weeks. I spoke with Sheriff Abston, and he says officers from Pickens County, Gordo, Reform, and Carrollton all took part in the search and the standoff. Deputies actually shot tear gas and pepper spray into the home, trying to drive Prescott out. But when they got no response, they entered the home, and that's when they discovered that Prescott was not actually in the house at the time. Sheriff Abston tells me officers were doing one last search around the area before calling it off for the night when a deputy shined his flashlight into the crawl space and actually caught a glimpse of Prescott's watch in the darkness. Now, the property owner tells me that Prescott had been living here for just about 3 weeks and gathered all these 25 dogs and around 10 chickens on this property during that time. Sheriff Abston says that Prescott is now being held in the Pickens County Jail and is facing 15 counts of first-degree animal cruelty. As for the animals that were found here Tuesday night on the property, the 3 worst of the dogs were taken for immediate medical treatment to Tuscaloosa Tuesday night. Several other of the animals were picked up by the Greene County animal cruelty investigator and taken to Utah. And the remainder of the animals of the dogs actually belonged to a woman in Prattville, and she drove up here Tuesday night to reclaim a litter of poodle puppies that Prescott was allegedly going to buy from her. And as for those chickens, they were taken today to Reform for better treatment. Live in Pickens County, Daniel Sparkman, WVUA News.
All right, thank you, Daniel. And just to recap, a breaking news situation in Pickens County, the suspect in an animal cruelty investigation that turned into a police standoff this afternoon has been arrested. We'll continue following this situation and bring you the latest tonight at 6 o'clock.
Another big story we're following tonight, the threat of severe weather. West Alabama may actually be in the path of some pretty rocky weather this evening. For the latest now on that, here's Chief Meteorologist Richard Scott.
Hey, Lynn, watching things very close tonight. There's a chance of some severe weather, mainly after midnight tonight. Right now, things are fine. There's a slight risk of severe weather for the northwestern half of Alabama from about Centerville, points north and west. That includes Birmingham, Gadsden, also Livingston underneath that slight risk of severe weather. Moderate risk back towards the west where the threat is a little more serious, where there's that chance for some lone track tornadoes across northern Mississippi. Fortunately, as this activity moves our way, it will be weakening. And right now, we're dry. Home Team Interactive Radar. No rain around here at the moment. There's a tornado watch box across northern Mississippi. There could be a tornado watch around here a little later on tonight. We'll have much more on the news at 5 o'clock, including that 7-day forecast. Stay with us for that.
All right, thank you, Richard. On the heels of Tuscaloosa approving Sunday alcohol sales, Northport residents may soon have the chance to vote on the very same thing. Northport Mayor Bobby Herndon tells WVUA he hopes residents will get to vote on Sunday sales as early as May. Herndon says the first step is to notify the public, which has already started. Then the local delegation of legislative officials will have to craft a bill. Mayor Herndon says he has met with several members of that delegation, and they have said they will support the measure. Herndon said Sunday alcohol sales are necessary to allow Northport businesses to compete with Tuscaloosa.
The local legislative delegation met in Tuscaloosa today. They were guests at the city of Tuscaloosa's annual local legislative delegation breakfast. That's where they were getting ready for the 2011 legislative session. One of the issues lawmakers say they're looking at is the rebuilding of Bryce Hospital. Tuscaloosa Mayor Walt Maddox says he's concerned about the hospital meeting the required standards.
According to the Department of Mental Health's own study, they're going to build a Bryce that's going to have 100 less beds than what is required at today's standard, not even what the standard will be 15 to 20 years from now.
The 2008 study by the Department of Mental Health recommends that Bryce have a 350-bed capacity. Maddox says this could impact courts, jails, homelessness, and social service providers.
An update now on the former Alabama high school football coach charged with child molestation. Officials say Dwight Bowling is in plea negotiations. Bowling is the former head football coach at Sulligent High School and at high schools in Mississippi. He faces several federal and state charges in Mississippi, including fondling, sexual battery, child exploitation, and bribing a witness.
A West Alabama teenager's plea for help to lose weight gained her national attention and help from a stranger hundreds of miles away. Now, Brandy Sanders is on her way back here to Alabama tonight. Brandy is home in Guin. That's after her physician told her she could die within 2 years unless something was done. She mailed letters to surgeons asking for some help, and months later, Dr. Anthony Gonzalez from South Miami Hospital said he would perform the surgery for free. This video is from Brandy's gastric bypass surgery. Her mother, Angie, says the surgery was done with the help of a robot, and they removed about half of Brandy's stomach. Brandy and her mother say they have a lot of plans now for the future.
Anticipating just being able to have my life back, being able to drive a car, hang out with friends.
It'll just be to make sure that I feed her the right foods and make sure she gets the right nutrients that she needs, and I'm hoping that I can eat more like her and hopefully lose a few pounds myself.
Angie told us Brandy has had some pain from the surgery, but she is doing well and has already lost 4 pounds. Experts stress that gastric bypass surgery is a major procedure that requires life changes and should be considered very carefully.
It's a major disappointment for the state of Alabama today. A $35 billion contract to build aircraft tankers will not be coming to Alabama. The Pentagon announced today Boeing has been selected to build the tankers. That means the thousands of jobs will go to Washington state. Back in February 2008, the contract went to the European Aeronautic Defense and Space Company. They were planning to build the tankers in Mobile, but Boeing protested and the work was rebid.
The Alabama Alcoholic Beverage Control Board has officially banned one popular alcoholic energy drink and many others. While some distributors took drinks like Four Loko off the shelves weeks ago, others still have a reformatted version in store. Store manager Trevor Wilson told us the new version is 12% alcohol and no longer has caffeine. Some local package and convenience store managers told us there's just not a huge demand for it anymore.
I've got one guy, he buys 3 or 4 a day. He comes in, he'll get one, he'll come back and get another one. It's just kind of back and forth.
Slowed down a lot. Since the federal government put the ban on them, it slowed down. Then it picked up a little bit. Now we haven't sold that many lately.
Bob Martin, attorney for the ABC board, says the state banned the drinks after the Federal Food and Drug Administration declared them dangerous. Today was historic for NASA.
After 3 decades of service, NASA's space shuttle Discovery is taking its final voyage.
Go for main engine start. We have main engine start. 2, 1. Booster ignition and the final liftoff of Discovery. A tribute to the dedication, hard work, and pride of America's space shuttle team.
This is Discovery's 39th voyage to space. This is the first of 3 final missions for the shuttle program. Discovery is on the way to the International Space Station. There is an Alabama connection to the mission. Engineers at NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center are responsible for Discovery's propulsion systems. NASA's last shuttle mission is set for the summer with Atlantis. Once the shuttle fleet is permanently grounded, Russia will shuttle crews to the International Space Station until commercial spacecraft are available.